Upright Homo sapien in southern Africa, and they began upright, meaning they stood up and could walk and this sort of thing. And so the migration from that point was northern, and coming out of Africa into Europe, okay, into Germany, into Poland, into all these countries in Europe, we got into the Neanderthal period, and they still migrated up to the northern part, into Siberia, northeastern part. In Siberia, they went to the Bering Straits. It was a land bridge at that time across the Bering Straits from Europe to Alaska. And the bridge at that time was expected to be 125 miles wide. That's because during the Pleistocene period, this ice age, the water went down, just like it did in the picture I showed you here of Florida, where the shoreline of Florida went out as much as 100 to 125 miles to the west. Okay, when he got over into Alaska, coming into Canada, and then down the west coast of Canada, okay, it's what they called following the trail of the megafauna. Mega meaning large, fauna meaning animal, large animals. And this is where, as a child, I got some of my education from a great uncle when I found my first artifact, now 79 years ago. And arrowhead. Hey, you found an arrowhead, wonderful, and everything like this. But I took it to my great uncle, who was somewhat educated. I think he went beyond the 7th grade. And but he was a pretty bright guy, and he looked at it and he said, "Well, Rich, that's my middle name." He said, "What do you have here?" He says, "You have something here that is found where you found it, because there's an old hillside spring right there." I didn't know there was a hillside spring. So he said, "You go up there and check and see if you can find that old spring." And I did go up there, walked back up the old country road. We lived in a very rural section of West Virginia, found this old spring. And he says, "Anytime you find something from the Indians," we didn't talk about prehistoric people, he said, "it's going to be associated with water, because they have to have water to live. Plus the animals have to have water to live." And so, trail of the megafauna, the Indians at that time, and all the Indians will follow water sources. And it's like when they came in the United States, say you're with them. You got your sheepskin on or whatever it is they're wearing. And you're on the west coast of the United States, and you look, my God, there's a Cascade Mountains, Oh, we're not going to go that way. We're not going to climb up those mountains. We'll stay along the western coast. They stayed along the western coast till they got down into what is now the upper California area below Oregon, something like this, where the mountains leveled off. And so they took a eastward turn. But what they were doing all this time, they were following water sources, because with the water, there were animals. With the animals, hey, guess what we're having for dinner tonight, right? Mm-hmm. And so they kept moving across. Clovis, New Mexico was where one of the points, it's what they call a Clovis point. I found one, and it's a rare, rare point. In fact, that little Clovis point, most people look at it, a piece of junk, but in the books that they have out for selling these things, that point's worth $750. And same way with a lot of the points in here there. But Clovis, New Mexico was the one that I like to find. That was one of the last ones found too, and it's about 130 yards west of where we are right now. But from that point, they kept moving over. But again, with the waterways, So they get over to where the Mississippi Valley is. Big waterway going up that way. Hey, we're going up the river. You see what's up here, They do. And that's where you start finding paleo material, is in the Mississippi Valley, over to the Missouri Valley, then into the High Valley where I lived as a child. And so that to me was like, hey, this is how it happened. And if they were to do a road map, like we have road maps today, their road map would be the river sections and the water sections where you would see they travel. So we get over there, and of course we get into Florida. And like I was saying a moment ago, when we first turned in all our artifacts, I worked with this gentleman, Louis Tassar, archaeologist in Tallahassee. Went up there because tried to get some support in here for doing a display within the clubhouse. And I thought it'd be very nice to have kept this collection within our community, okay? Be quite honest, could get very little interest in doing a display. If I did a display, the total collection we had, over 4,000 pieces, would have been valued at somewhere around $25,000, okay? And if I'm going to put this in a display, I want it to be a protected display. And I told Ms. Bush about that. but couldn't really get so finally I had all this stuff under my bed in boxes. Right? And the wife was like, can't run to sleep around, I better get the crap out of here. So we decided we're going to go to Tallahassee and check with the archaeologists up there. These are all the people we worked with. And we went up and took the collection with me. He had it boxed up in 4 boxes, big boxes. Took it up there. We took it in and worked with Louis there. He went through it and everything like this. And were they interested? Ryan Wheeler, I don't know if I have Ryan. I don't even think I have Ryan's name on there. He was in charge at that time of the archaeological department up there. And Ryan was standing, had tears, and Paul Kate told me he had tears in his eyes because we would donate that to the state. The good part about donating it to the state, first of all, I've never been a collector that trades and sells. I don't do that, never have. But donating it to the state, it was registered with the state as an important archaeological site, APA 596. And the idea that it was registered then drew attention to it for protection. This is a protected site by the state. There are certain things you cannot do here. One of the things you cannot do here, I told Ms. Bush about it, is we can't dig. The only time you can do any archaeological digging is when it's under professional supervision. And, you know, looters and collectors, they don't get in this thing. So, couldn't get any head store for it. Took it up there, as I said. They were excited about it. I wanted to come down and share it with some other people down here that were interested in it. Reboxed it, brought it back, and then took it back in 2007 and donated it. But, let me see if I've got any notes here. Yeah. Okay, they did 2 archaeological surveys here, okay? I think the first one in 1981 was Beacon Woods North. And that's when they're going to maybe start construction here and some houses, okay? That did not work out. They did another archaeological survey in 1997. Joan Deming was in charge of the Southwestern archaeological consultant firm down there. And had a letter. I saw her notation on that report after they did the survey. And doing the survey, what they would do is they would dig pits. They've got pictures of all the pits they dug. In fact, they're in that book. And all the citrus grove was over the old dead trees, and they got all that information. But they would dig these pits. And yes, in fact, if we turn around right where that palm tree is back there, that section right back in there, when we were first coming in and cleaned things up, a lot of pottery shards. But that's not old prehistoric stuff. This goes back to the Timucuan, to the Seminole, you know, it's more recent. But we had everything then, you know, put together that seemed to make sense. And at the end, when this stuff was all turned over to the state and everything, I had a letter back from her. I did put some notes in there. I don't know whether, I thought I did. But, oh yeah, here it is. She had an article she sent back in her email to me. It says, given the quantity and diversity of artifacts you've uncovered, I think we were very wrong in 1997 not to have evaluated this site as highly significant. Now the reason we could find these things is if you look around, right back there behind you, that retention area. And over there, that's 15B, this is 15C, and that's 15A over there, the one just north. And then if we turn around, look around, along fairway number 4, okay, there's a deep retention area there. They started digging these things, okay. We moved here in 1998, first resident, and golf course that hadn't been started, and so we were here when they started uncovering the earth. And because of my background experience, which is not professional certainly, but I did work with a lot of archaeologists, I had a little bit of knowledge. When they started digging, I became interested. And when they dug here, they got down as much as 10, 12, 15 feet in some areas that in. They found nothing here in the very beginning because they didn't go deep enough, okay? They didn't get to the old cultural levels. But now they're down here digging points out, the old cultural level points. I don't have all the pictures here. That paleo, I found that one. I don't know where that one was, right over there. We found about 340 paleo pieces. But not all at once, little by little, out of those retention areas mostly. But when they took that dirt, they moved this dirt over along number 2 fairway and had a huge pile of dirt over there. It was like a storage area for dirt that was going to be used in doing fill and that sort of thing, right? And every time they would move dirt, we'd move with it. They would dump it
Follow the
and
dirt.
with it. I remember one time I had to go back to West Virginia to be with one of my buddies putting a new boat on the river up there, and he wanted me to take a trip with him. I was going to be gone for 2 weeks. And we had a lot of rain. That's 2003 when we had the heavy 21 inches or something.
Yes.
Yeah. But Paula took over. And she would follow the dirt and follow the dirt. So she became a collector. In fact, it became a competitive thing with us. We'd be out there looking for artifacts, you know. You go over there, you know, you check that area, and I'll check this area over here, you know. You working over here. Herb, you got to see this, you got to see this, you know. And I know one she picked up, I don't know where the heck it is in here, but one she picked up was coral. And you could hold it into the light, almost see through this baby. I mean, it was a beauty. I said, Paula, look, you come over here, hon. You check this area. I'll take care of that area for you. It became a competitive thing, and we really had a ball doing it. But I was on that river trip up there when we had that big rain, and she picked up, I don't know, she must have picked up 200 or 300 artifacts while I was gone. But she became like following, where she'd see them move that dirt, she'd go where they're moving that dirt. Okay, over where the driving range is over there. Okay, on that slope where the driving range is, the family that lived here back in the late 40s, 50s, and early 60s, when all the citrus groves were in here and everything like this, you know, the name was Ackerman. And the Ackerman, young guy, not young anymore, he's about half my age, but he has that package store down there on 19, just south as you go down, on the right-hand side. Got a Quonset hut down there. He has a package. Now, he collected numerous artifacts in here. In fact, right over there in this sinkhole, just around, right around the bend there a little bit, there was a spring entry, okay? And he told me as a kid, he had swum back in it, that thing a little bit, you know, and he found what we call a saber-toothed tusk, saber-toothed tiger. I said, boy, JR, I'd like to see that. He said, well, I don't know where it is right now, you know, something like this, you know, but I could never get him. I just wanted to see it. I didn't want it. I wanted to be able to include it with what we had picked up, and it would just magnify the size of the collection, you know, but still can't get him. I've invited him up, put him up, we have some dinner or something like this, you know. Won't show up yet.
It's not coming out.
But anyway, over there along that side I was talking about, where the driving range is, Ackerman told me that's where he collected most of these artifacts. Okay. And based on what he told me about what he collected, I think most of the stuff he collected was late archaic, going back about 4,000 years, 3,000 years, and modern day Chemical, Semical, and that sort of stuff. But I know there was a massive collection. And over there we picked up about, I think it was almost 280 pieces. In fact, when they were, oh here, I was over there when they were resodding that, and I walked it real quick, and this is a flake knife. It's all worked out real nice, where they can do the cutting with and this sort of thing, you know, laying out there. And this saw I found over there. And they've never seen this, and I talked with the director up there about 3 or 4 months ago about this. He said, you got to bring that up there, I want to see it. So when I was up there, I did ask JR, I said, JR, do you have any idea how many artifacts you found? He said, you know, half basket full or something. I didn't tell me it was a bushel basket or one of them little fruit baskets, you know, but he said a half a basket full, so I figured it was a couple thousand pieces, something like this. And based on what we found, I did tell the state about that, and the state wanted to register that as a separate prehistoric site, which they did. Even that didn't impress him, so we didn't get anything out of it.
Where was that, Herb?
Where the driving range is.
Oh, okay.
Right out there where the slope comes down. And I guarantee you there's still artifacts over there to be found. And houses in here, all these houses in near proximity here, especially right over on Gentle Breeze, found lots of stuff along that street over there because that near proximity here. And so it's an extremely productive effort, and it was fun, payoff. In fact, I just showed Linda here a moment ago that one of my friends lives next door to me. She invited me over and she made us an album. Beautiful. Had this all printed up for us.
That's beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
I got to get Bob's name in there too, because he's the man that did he did all the drone photographic work, which was exceptional. Okay, another thing that got me interested too, when they were doing the construction, is the people that work in the construction crews, right? They were some collectors in there, and they started finding stuff. And I found out they were finding stuff. And I think, hey, that's an invasion of private property. But I didn't. I just kind of connected with them. They found a hot spot, they'd tell me about it. And there were a few hot spots around here other than Paleo Park. This was the key, but there were some other hot spots around here, and they would tell me about it. Okay, one of the things I found out in working with this one guy, red-headed guy with a big beard, over on number 11, the waterway on the left as you go toward the green, when they were digging that out, they came up with a large piece of pottery. The bottom piece of pottery were curved in toward the top. A beautiful piece of material. I didn't see it then. And so they took it and they had it evaluated and everything like this. And it was 16th century pottery. Okay, what that ties in with is Hernando de Soto, when he landed in Tampa, okay, and he moved along the west coast of Florida to his winter encampment up in Tallahassee where he camped. And there's a good possibility that he went right by that area. And because he came in 1539, and there's a good possibility that was a piece of pottery that was dropped along the way. So they picked up quite a bit of stuff, and the only thing I mention this is the fact that we have found more than 4,000 pieces. There's a lot to go on top of that. Probably get around 10,000 if you get it all put together. 2001, we were kind of concerned about, you know, the condition, the depth and everything of the sinkholes here. Excuse me. We had some friends, Heinrich, that had a dive joint down in Hudson. And we talked with them, and they agreed to come up and do a dive, check it out for us. And they did. And they went out and they did the whole thing, went underwater and, you know, scoped it out and everything like this. And our thoughts were in the beginning, possibly in connection with a irrigation water well that was drilled right over there at the end of Gentle Breeze, is that this would probably, it was 142 feet deep when they hit the aquifer. Bless you, my child. You put vodka in there?
No, I didn't. Had I known.
No vodka.
But that gave us speculation possibility this thing was probably around 50, 60, 70, 80 feet deep. But the thing we didn't take into consideration, if it's 15, I would say minimally 15,000 years old, is erosion runoff, vegetation like the trees that drop leaves and things over a 15,000 year period is going to bring it up. It's also going to widen it because of erosion from the banks. So I would imagine, and my thought was at that point in time, 15,000 years ago, this thing was about half the size it is now, and it would have been deeper. But they found out it was 30 feet deep when they did the dive. One thing they did find was right out here is a 1976 AAA custom pickup truck with 83 plates on it.
Wow.
And there was some tools in it, a couple of shovels. They used to be down there against the tree, and they got out of here and everything like that. And some golf clubs, a couple of golf clubs. Bill Clark, a friend of mine, he tried to get the VIN number, and he was going to find out about the VIN number, you know, more information on the truck ownership and that kind of stuff. Couldn't get the VIN number, so we don't know. But when they did the dive, their consensus was that everything's okay and they wouldn't take it out. Because we were having, I had a friend named Chris Sajak that works for Swift Mud, and he said he could do a job for me if I wanted because he found out about this sinkhole. I said, "What?" He said, "I'll come down and clean all the debris out of your." We have 3 ancient sinkholes: the one on Scenic Hills Drive up there, the one over on Fairway Green, and of course this one. So he did come over, and he cleaned out 3 truckloads out of that one up there. Refrigerators, ranges, junk, trash, tires, cleaned it all out. And he went over and did the same thing with a lot less material in it over on Fairway Green. So we're not going to do anything here. We're going to leave it as it is.
So the truck is still down.
It is still down there. And the reason we left it there is, like Swift Mud said, and the diver said, look, it's been there since at least 1983 probably. Yeah, 83. So we're talking 1733 years ago now. And the idea is that it had washed out all the oil and all the bad stuff. And actually is a great spawning place for fish. And fish, this place is absolutely loaded with bass. Thousands of bass in here.
They can live in that?
Yeah, and they had, let's see the silt on the water right now? Okay, that was checked out. Lake Masters took water samples and took them in. We checked it out to make sure it wasn't something that was dangerous. Okay, and it's probably algae. The best of our knowledge is algae. If it rains, wind blows, it's gone. But right now it's, you know, kind of messy again.
Because of the heat.
But when, you know, Chris Ajak, the guy to clean it out, it was a $7,500 job he contributed to the community. Worked out beautifully and took care of those three. And those ancient sinkholes too, we did find some artifacts and closed areas around those, and nothing massive like here. But Wayne Johnson, a friend of mine, in fact, I got him interested in collecting. He's doing a lot of walking then. And when, like I say, we first moved here in '98, he came in '99. There's still a lot of citrus trees in here. Lemons, tangerine, few orange, lots of that stuff. And he always used to run around picking oranges to try to sell them, I think. I don't know. But he was out there one day, he got really excited about it, and it's on the sign over there on the bottom. It's called the Cowhouse Slough. And it's a beautiful point. It too ranges between $600 and $800 in value. And he contributed, gave it to me. So.
What was it?
Cowhouse Slough.
What's that?
That's just the name they gave it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of the points, the Levi's, the Marians, and points of this nature, you know.
Okay.
The Kirks, it's named after probably the first person that found him, and you know, that was me. And so they named it after him. But it was a unbelievable journey, and probably, as far as I'm concerned, anything that'll be done in here, it's pretty much behind us now, unless they do some digging someplace. Like, you know, they're not going to dig any more retention areas. We have 63 of these. But they'll not be doing any more of those.
Told me they don't know.
I have a question. When you pick up something like this, how do you know it's significant?
Because of the material. Okay, as Bill mentioned when he said limestone, this is all like anthracite, heavy duty limestone. That's when I would take people out with me. They want to go out and look for artifacts. So you'd walk over this stuff and crunch it up.
Yeah. I mean, this, you could tell there was something, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's a Levi point,
a
right?
hammer or something, but
No, that was a point that
something, you know, something like this, how would you even know?
because of the material, and because you've got to have a little bit of insight into how they made their tools and things of this
Sure.
nature. You see flakes,
Yeah,
and flakes, where they flake this stuff off.
yeah.
And quite honestly, I'll be honest with you. When I was picking this stuff up initially, I took it home, threw it around with plants.
Oh.
And after I went up there, I had several of these pieces, you know, and they're asking me, did you not find more expedient lithic flakes than you brought in here? I said, yeah, a bunch of them. So these are very important, you know. In fact, let me show you something here in the book. That was done by the state. They did, I mean, quite an investigation when they did all this, okay? And it was, when they started it, this is Louis Tessar's overview of the whole thing that he wrote up and gave to us after we turned it in. And then he started the survey. These are all survey sheets. And everything we took in, like right here. See all this, These are these lithic expedient flakes right here. He even took every piece we took in and looked at it, throw them in bags. So that when he got through, this is that one I was telling you about my wife that hacked me off. I wasn't in the right place. That's a beautiful point.
And did this come from here?
Yeah, out of my house I made it.
Oh.
But the reason I did this, it was a little progress that they made in using their spear points. You can imagine if you're going out there and you got a 4,000 pound bison there, woolly mammoth, you're going after him. And this is all you got to protect yourself with, okay? They had another thing they used with it, and I've loaned it to a person, it's called an atlatl. That little thing hooks on the back, and you come up with your hand like this, and when you throw it, your hand comes down and grabs that, and it propels it because you extend the length of this as you're throwing it out and gives it more thrust.
Yeah.
But they came up with a little idea that, hey, I'm using this. I'm out there, I'm trying to kill something. You know, if I don't get it right first time, it's going to charge me. I've got to have something else to work with.
Yeah.
So probably the ingenuity of one of these engineers back there with Paleo came up with this idea. Boom, here. You can use this to thrust it, boom, put it in where you're going to put it in, and then when you get it, you can pull it out. And you got this, you reach down, you belt,
Another one?
get another one, load her up again. You're ready again in a matter of seconds.
Wow.
The red points like this, they were heated. This was still the same material as you see here, but these points were heated. And when you heat it, you get that redness in them. And another thing we found, I see this one.
Make it stronger?
Yes, and make it cut more cutting edge, sharper edge. This one's called an Edgefield scraper right here, and this point right here alone was worth $750. And it was found right back there where our number 9 green is right now.
Wow.
Yep. These are all paleo pieces. These are all paleo pieces. That's
They have
paleo.
these on display in Tallahassee?
They have loaned, Policana was looking in the newspaper about a year ago, so Starkey Park had a display over there. I said, that's some of our artifacts. And it was. And they do loan them out for educational purposes, which is a good thing.
Yeah.